Morning. Welcome to Sunday morning yoga, Brandy time. Get out your usual stuff. We're going to start down in child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart, hips back on your heels. Curled up into a ball. Trying to find a few moments of quiet introspection. So see yourself from the inside out. Your actual physical eyes may be closed, but let that third eye, that inner eye, open and observe how you feel, how that body is doing this morning. And then pressing your hands into the ground. Come on up to sit. You're going to sit as ladylike as you possibly can. Let your elbows rest on your lap, on the inside of your knees, on the top of your thighs. If you find that you're really slouching backward, or this is uncomfortable in your hips, you might consider taking those two blocks, one for each butt cheek, and elevating your hips, taking some of the pressure off your lower back. Maybe you'll be able to step a little bit taller. Again, legs nice and wide, elbows resting on your thighs. You're going to bring your hands together in a prayer position. Bind your thumbs. Now put the thumbs in the inside corners of the eye, between the inside corners of the eyes and the eyebrow and the eye socket. So letting the orbit, the eye socket bone, rest on the tips of your thumbs. Settle in. Shoulders melt away from your ears. Head is nice and heavy. Thumb tips are supporting your skull. Shoulders melting away from your ears. Again, those quiet introspective breaths. Breathing into your back body. Now in Chinese medicine, there are channels, lines of energy mapped to the various systems of the body. And one of those meridians, Chinese lines of energy, starts here, right where your thumb tips are pressing, inside corners of the eyes. It runs along the line of your mohawk, parallel lines, one on the right side, one on the left side, along the line of your mohawk, down either side of your spine to your tailbone, and then down the legs all the way to the bottoms of your feet. Finding your breath, breathing along the line of that mohawk, down the back of your neck, down your back, even all the way down the backs of your legs. And then head is heavy. You're going to release your hands and slowly roll your head on up. You're going to roll out your wrists a few times. Put the bottom of your feet together. Maybe butt walk if you're on those blocks. Kind of waddle forward so that your sit bones are perched on the edge of the blocks. And you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm pulling flesh away from bones. So those sit bones are on the edge of the blocks. And ideally, you're sitting towards the front edge of your sit bones. So you want to rock your pelvis, perk your butt, sitting towards the front edge of your sit bones, and you've pulled the flesh away from those bones, so those bones are making good solid contact with either the floor or the blocks, whatever you're sitting upon. Bottom of your feet are together, and you're breathing. Palms are forward for a good shoulder shrug up, back and down. You can press your fingertips down into the ground and lengthen, lift your heart up. Now we're opening up the front surface of the body. Head is on straight, chin is level. And you're breathing. Push the bottom of your feet into one another. Push the pinky toe sides of your feet into each other extra hard. Maybe your feet begin to open up like a book. Keep breathing. And opening up the front surfaces of the body. Shoulders are back. Chest is expanding. I'm pushing down into my fingertips to help me lift my chest up. a little bit more. This is Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And release. Simple crisscross applesauce, one leg in front of the other, doesn't matter which. And we're going to alternate back and forth between front body and back body. So simple crisscross applesauce, hands on your lap. If you find that you're slouching, do sit up on more blocks. You want to be able to tilt your pelvis. If you're not getting a lot of movement in your hips, sit on more stuff. Hands on your lap, you're going to pull your chest forward, opening up your heart, shoulders are down. And then as you exhale, like a gut punch, pull that tummy and tuck your tail around your back, slouch. Pull chest forward, inhale, chest up and forward. And exhale, gut punch, pull that tummy in. Couple more times, rocking back and forth. It's like a seated cat and cow. Arms stay straight the entire time, and you can use your hands to push back and pull forward. And if you're like me, you might find that your knees lift up and down. That's fine. Couple more cycles of breath. And then finally, you get to sit on it. Shoulders are up, back, and down. Fingertips pressed into the floor, sitting towards the front edge of your sit bones. Going to bring your chest forward out over your shins. At some point, you'll find it's more comfortable to bring your hands forward. Continue to project your chest forward. Feeling that stretch in your hips and lower back. And then crawl your hands back to your lap. Shuffle your legs. Hello, everybody. Put the other leg in front. Sitting up nice and tall. Again, lead the way with your heart, bowing out over your legs. And come on up. From here, you're going to transition to hands and knees any way that works for you. And some people, that's just rolling forward. Come on up and join me in a hands and knees position. Padding underneath your knees, recommended. Hands beneath your shoulders, toes curled under. Inhale, lift your head and tail up and just sway back to cow. And as you exhale, pull your tummy in, arch your back for cat. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. And continue to work it out, waving your spine back and forth through cat and cow. Now, the next time you find yourself in that cat pose, your toes are curled under, your belly is pulled in. I'm going to move my block out of the way so you can see my knees, my pillow out of the way so you can see my knees a little bit better. Back is rounded, arched up into that cat pose, toes are curled under. Exhale, prepare, pull that tummy in, and then lift your knees up to hover 1 inch or so off the floor. And then inhale, head up, tail up, into sway back to cow. We're going to call this knee hovering pose bear. So as you exhale, come into cat. Keep that belly strong as you lift your knees to hover in bear. And then knees down. Inhale for cow. Exhale, cat. Knees up for bear. Knees down. And inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Belly strong. Knees up, hold for bear. Knees down. Inhale, cow. And then keep on moving. A couple more times here. Exhale, cat. Knees up, hold for bear. Knees down. Inhale, cow. One more time. Exhale, cat. Knees up for bear. Knees down. And inhale, cat. All right, you get to untuck your toes. Bring the bottom of your tops of your feet down to the floor, big toes together, and back your hips up to your heels for that child's pose. Come up onto fingertips. Walk both hands over to one side and go for a side stretch. And walk both hands over to the other side. Stretching. And once more, side stretch, back to that first side. And as you're side stretching, you're pushing your hips to your heels to open up that side body. And then both hands, that second side, second time, pushing your hips back to your heels. So you can push your fingertips into the ground to keep those hips back as you open up your side body. And then come to center. So we're going to combine that idea of side stretching and a little bit of twisting and our bear pose. We're going to put it all together, a little bit of ab work. I'm going to come back up to hands and knees. Do make sure your feet and hands are on the same surface. Both hands, both feet are on the same sticky mat. Inhale, head up, tail up, sway back, cow. And as you exhale, pull that tummy in for bear, lifting those knees up off the mat. And then keeping your knees off the mat, back your hips up towards your heels. So my knees are up off the mat here. And then you get to set your knees down and shift forward back to hands and knees. Inhale, sway back to cow. And exhale, cats. Knees up for bear. Keep those knees up as you back your hips up to your heels. And you get to put those knees down, step forward. Inhale, sway back to cow. Let me get a little bit more sophisticated. Exhale, arch your back for cow. Knees up for bear. Twist knees to one side. Doesn't matter which, pick a side. Swing the knees off to one side and then back your hips up towards your heels. Let's twist it. You got to shift forward, set those knees down, and breathe. Inhale. And exhale, arch your back. Knees up for bear. Knees to the other side. Back your hips up to your heels. You get to shift forward, set those knees back down, and inhale for cow. Do that once more on each side. Exhale, cat. Knees up for bear. Knees to one side, you're twisting, and backing your hips up to your heels. A little bit of side stretch there, perhaps. There's a lot going on, I know. And then set knees back down. Inhale, head up, tail up. Exhale, pull that tummy in. Knees up for bear. Off to one side and back up. Really push those hips back. Get a sense of side stretch to happen. And then you get to shift forward, set those knees down, untuck those toes, come into child's pose. Starting to warm up those thighs in case you haven't noticed. Hips are back towards your heels. You're going to walk your hands back to your lap. I don't know about you, but I need a bit of a wrist stretch. So take the backs of your hands to the floor. Palms are up, backs of your hands on the ground. And just get a little bit of a wrist stretch. You can shift your weight forward and backward. Getting a little bit of a wrist massage. And then I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna show you my knees. I realize I've got black on black here. It's better if you could see my knees. All right, hands and knees, toes curled under. Inhale, head up, tail up. Exhale, pull that tummy in. Knees up for bear. Knees to one side, hips back. Keep your knees up. And shift forward back to that bear, keeping your knees up. Twist to the other side, back it up. Keep your knees off the floor as you shift forward. And twist the other way and back it up. And shift forward and twist the other way and back it up. And shift forward and twist the other way and back it up. And shift forward, twist the other way and back it up. And one more time, shift forward, set those knees down, untuck those toes, back your hips up to your heels. And breathe. Pick a side, any side. You want to mirror image me, orient yourself same way I'm going, so that when you shift forward, you're going to set that left knee down, back knee is the left knee, and that right leg goes straight. Your left foot can swing back behind you like a kickstand. Left hand's down on the ground. Inhale that right arm up and open. Breathe. Pulling in that tummy, lifting weight out of the bottom hand, maybe even coming up onto fingertips. And if that works for you, you can bring that top arm alongside your ear. Big side stretch. And breathe. Pushing through that right foot, the straight leg, pushing that right foot down into the ground, lifting that right arm up, maybe hovering in midair. Hoo, hoo, hoo. A little bit of abs there. And breathing. And that's hard, I know. And then set it back down. And release. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So now it would be the right knee down, right foot back behind you, left leg straight. Right hand down, left arm up. Kind of give those wrists a break, coming up onto fingertips. Breathing. Bring that top arm alongside your ear. Engaging those abs, lifting weight out of the bottom hand. Tummy is strong. Just going for a side stretch here. And then optional, you can challenge yourself pushing down through that left heel and float. Engaging those abdominals. Breathing as best you can. It looks easy. I know it's hard. And release. All right, we're going to stay on this side just to mess with your brain. Bring both hands down for a split second. We're going to switch legs. Whichever leg you had on top is now going to go in front. That foot goes down. The bottom leg kicks out straight. Open it. Tummy strong. The more you lift your hips up, pull your belly up into your body, stronger this pose is. You could even push down into, that would be your left foot, for a little bit more lift. Let's take this foot on the ground and begin to wiggle it forward. Pivot on the ball of the back foot to pick up that back heel. Going into a nice long lunge. I'm inching this foot forward so the toes are sticking out past my knee. Nice long runner's lunge. And you might still have those blocks handy. Or a pillow handy if you need a little something underneath your knees for later. I actually don't need it for now. You don't have your knees down. You can have hands on blocks. Nice long lunge. Maybe fingertips are on the floor, maybe hands are on blocks. Nice long lunge. Maybe hop that back foot in just a smidge as you begin to work to straighten the front leg. Again, hands can be on blocks or fingertips on the floor. Working to pull the front leg straight, straighter. Back heel may or may not touch down. You are cheating yourself if you're letting that back heel flop in. You're going to cheat yourself out of a calf stretch if you do that. So pick up that back heel, swing it in the direction of the pinky toe, pivot on the ball of the foot. Even swing that back heel out to the side so you get a good strong calf muscle stretch on that back leg, as well as a hamstring stretch on the front leg. This pyramid pose. Do your best to keep breathing. And then bending both knees, come on down. Keep your blocks handy. Might be using them again in just a moment. But for now, we're going to flip on over and do the other side. So pivoting around. Remember, we're going to be taking that bottom leg back, top leg out in front. So if we're mirror imaging one another, this is your left arm down. This is your right leg on top. And you're breathing. Pushing down into that foot, lifting your hips up, pulling your tummy in, getting up off the ground, getting strong. And then challenging yourself to wiggle that foot forward, maybe even grab it and move it forward. Pivot on the ball, the back foot. Get your blocks available handy if you need them. And begin to pull this into a lunge first, measuring off that lunge. Inching that foot forward, getting a nice long stride between your feet. Pushing hard through the back heel. You do want both feet on the same surface, so make sure you're not sliding across the room. And then start to pull both legs straight. Back heel stretching straight back, maybe even swinging out to the side a bit. Back heel can swing out to the side a little bit. Pyramid pose. All right, you're going to bend both knees, come back down to that kneeling position, just long enough for you to switch sides, going back to that first side, right hand down. Now you have choices. You can go that first version. You could do the second version. You could try the third version. Choose your own adventure. Side plank. Vasisthasana. Hips lifted up, front ribs hold in, side ribs lifted away from the ground. Big pose. And then you get to pivot into a downward facing dog. What a relief that feels like. Thumb down dog. Going to come back down to kneeling and switch sides once again. Which means that would be your left hand down. And again, you've got options. Option one was this one. Option two was that one. Option three, stacked. One-armed plank. And into downward facing dog. How about we be done with those for the day? So hanging out here in your downward facing dog, And take your dog for a jog, pedaling your feet, letting your hips swish and sway side to side. Pulling hips out of armpit, belly pulled in. Nice long side body. Take whatever foot is farthest away from the screen. That would probably be your left foot. You're going to rise to tippy toes, shift your body weight forward, take a step forward. If it's your left foot, and pivot around into a wide-legged forward fold. Hands are on something. Hands are on the floor, hands are on blocks. Toes are turned in, heels are kicking out as you bow forward. Knees are unlocked, toes are turned in, heels are pressing wide, hips lifting high to the sky. If, when you find balance, you want an additional chest expansion, you can take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, press your knuckles up towards the sky. Sides and the back of your neck are long. Top of your head down towards the floor. Hands coming to hips, hands coming down to the floor, and come to fingertips. Hands directly beneath your shoulders, you're up on fingertips. So if you're working with just one yoga mat, maybe your hands are off the mat. Feet are on though. Hands are not in the same line as your feet. Front ribs and belly pull up into your body, making a tabletop surface with your back. Knees unlocked, toes are turned in. Lift that right arm high to the sky and rotate. Imagine high-fiving somebody in this position. Take that top hand and push it forward so you could see your hand smack somebody's hand, somebody else's hand. Pulling in that tummy, getting a little bit more twist in your torso. And then let's switch sides. Inhale, sweep that left arm up and open. Rotate. Now just don't stamp yourself or drag yourself around by the hand. Take that top hand, push it forward, pull your tummy in to try to rotate from your core rather than yanking yourself around by the hand. And unwind. Unlock your knees, hands transfer up onto your lap, slowly roll all the way on up to standing. Turn all 10 toes to the right. Now, if you have blocks nearby, you might want to grab them. Make sure you've got one block parked on either end of your mat. You might use them. Feet are going to go nice and wide, all 10 toes turn to the right. Lining up heel to heel if you're new, heel to arch if you're not so new, on an imaginary line. Both feet on the same surface. Inhale, arms come up and overhead. And as you exhale, tip on over into your triangle pose. Unlocking that right knee. In fact, engaging like you're dragging the right heel back in towards midline, like you got a pee pulling in on your pelvic floor. You're dragging your heels together. And that internal lift, taking weight out of the bottom hand. Bottom hand weighs nothing. It can be resting on a block or lightly on your shin. No pressure at all on the right knee. Right knee is unlocked. And then inhale, come all the way on up. We're going to pivot feet to go the other way. Turning all 10 toes to the left. Nice wide stride between your feet, ideally ankles underneath wrists. Lining up heel to heel or heel to arch. And tipping over into that triangle pose. Hand can be on block or hand can be on shin. And it's if you're dragging your heels towards one another, dragging that front leg back, pulling up on that pelvic floor, lifting weight out of the bottom hand. So it weighs nothing. Resting lightly on your shin or on the block. Internal vertical lift, Kegel. It starts at your heels. Top hand is forward like you're high-fiving. So if you do turn your head to look up at it, you're able to see your top thumb with your bottom eye. And inhale all the way on up, turning all 10 toes to the right. I'm going to repeat that, but you have the option of kicking it up a level, coming into a more challenging abdominal version of it. All the same techniques though. Lining up heel to heel, all 10 toes turned to the right, dragging heels towards one another, feeling that internal vertical lift. Right knee is unlocked, bottom hand weighs nothing. And if you're feeling really good about it, push out with the bottom hand. Maybe bring the top hand alongside your ear, top arm alongside your ear. Or hands behind your head is an easier version. Or stretching, pushing out with the bottom hand for even more side stretch, ab challenge. Choosing your own adventure, working at whatever level is appropriate for you. Right knee is unlocked. Pelvic floor is lifted the entire time. And come all the way on up. All 10 toes going the other way. Holding in, tipping over, stretching out. Choose your own adventure. Working at whatever level is appropriate for you. Challenging yourself perhaps, and then changing your mind. Doing whatever works for you. And then you get to come all the way on up. Toes in, heels out, forward fold. Right, find those blocks, have them ready to go. Hands on blocks, blocks underneath your shoulders. I'm on the medium height. Front ribs and belly pulled in, knees unlocked, toes in, heels out. Sweeping that right arm up and open, revolving. Take the back of your hand around the small of your back, maybe tuck it into your waistband and help hike that top shoulder around your back a little bit more. Now I got that bottom hand on the block. Hopefully you can pull your abs in and make sure there's no weight in that bottom hand. Just let the fingertip touch the ground. Hand can be on block or just fingertip touching the ground. I want your chest off the floor. And unwind, switching sides. Left arm up and open. Lifting weight out of that bottom hand. Coming up onto just a fingertip, just on that block. Chest up off the floor. Back of your hand around the small of your back. Big twist. And unwind. All right. Keeping yourself up off the floor. Turn your toes out. Keeping yourself, your chest up off the floor. Shift over to one side. We'll be rock back on the heel. Going for Skandasana. Ideally, ultimately, you're going to switch sides a few times. You're going to have one heel, both heels down. But the first couple repetitions, you might have a floating heel or two, or you might be pleasantly surprised. Maybe you can keep both heels down from the start. So don't be shy about using those blocks to keep your chest up, keep weight off your knee. It is more comfortable for your knees if you take your legs wider apart. And again, use the blocks to control how heavily or how lightly you float up off the bent knee. Couple more times, side to side. And then until eventually, maybe perhaps both heels stay down. the whole time. If you're feeling quite strong about this, you're able to keep both heels down, able to keep your chest up. You might be able to switch side to side without using your hands. I don't know if I'm there yet this morning. Whatever you're doing, even yourself out. And then come to center. Toes in, heels out. Nice forward fold. Toes in, heels out. Nice deep forward fold. And then let's come on down to the floor and sit on those blocks. One block for each butt cheek configuration. And have your belt handy. Sitting on those blocks, have your chicken ready to go also. Sitting on those blocks, legs are going to go wide. And you're going to spread everything else out too. Pull the flesh away from the bones and wiggle, butt walk forward. Get those sit bones on the front edge of those blocks. Again, you want to be able to tilt your pelvic bowl to spill out between your legs. Legs are nice and wide, feet flex flat. If you're nervous about your knees, you can have your pillow ready to go. Tuck it underneath your knees, support your knees. Shoulders up, back, and down. Fingertips press into the ground, lifting your chest up, opening up the front surfaces of your body, but keeping your belly pulled in. Feet flexed flat. Going for that internal vertical lift. So engage like you're trying to squeeze your legs close and gather in that pelvic floor and support yourself from the inside out to sit up tall. The more you squeeze your legs in without actually moving them, pulling in on that pelvic floor, maybe you can lift weight out of your hands. Shoulders down, chest can stay lifted from that internal pull and lift. Eventually, maybe taking all the weight out of your fingertips. This is Uttanasana Konasana, upward looking wide angle pose. You're kind of trilingual, it makes sense. Up, Vishta view, cone angle, upward looking angle pose. And relax. Go ahead, bend that right knee. Bring that heel in towards the groin. The toes are pointed, so the top of the foot is down on the mat and you're scuffing up your pedicure. You can even roll the meat around that calf meat around the shin bone so that you can get even more of the top of the foot down on the ground. It's not about touching the foot to any particular part of your body. It's about putting as much of the shin bone and top of the foot down on the ground as you can. Other leg is open out to the side, and that left leg, that foot is flexed flat. And if the knee is nervous, you put something underneath your knees. Shoulders up, back, and down. Internal lift, so pulling in, lifting up, sitting up nice and tall. Oh. Make sure you're on mute there, Penny. And you're going to press that left hand down, lift the right arm up, and come on over into a side stretch. Think about pulling that straight leg into your pelvis. Nice big side stretch. And inhale, come all the way on up. All right, we're going to repeat on the same side. This time, this is your left hand. You're going to take that left shoulder hitchhike, that shoulder up onto your back. Palm is forward, like you're asking for money or something. You're going to slide your back of the arm along the inside of the thigh. So you're twisting a bit to the side, sliding the back of your hand around the inside of the thigh, and that right arm comes up and over into a side stretch. Back of the palm. The palm is up, back of the hand is down. Maybe you can tuck your thumb underneath your calf or work that hand out to the arch of the foot. Palm is up. Again, if you have a heavy head or if it's a little bit too much of a stretch, you can support your head. Bring the hand behind your head and breathe. And then come on up. We're going to repeat that a few more times, but let's switch and do the other side first. Switching sides. It is nicer for the knee if you twist the calf meat around the shin bone. Get as much of the top of the foot down on the ground as you can. Right leg, foot flex flat, padding underneath the knee if you need it. Sitting on the front edges of your sit bones, pulling in on that pelvic floor, shoulders up, back, and down. Sitting up nice and tall. And then turning this into a side stretch. Take the straight leg, pull it into your pelvis. And come on up. All right, we're going to repeat. Take this right shoulder, hitchhike it onto your back. Keep that right shoulder down. Palm is up. Sliding the arm on the inside of the leg, palm up. Left arm comes up and over. Sliding it down, maybe tucking your thumb behind your calf, or maybe reaching down to grab a hold of the big toe. Again, supporting your head if you need to. Breathing. And inhale, come all the way on up. All right, we're going to go back to that first side. Switch those legs. Let's get the belt out. Now that we've warmed that up a few times, we can really go for it now. Belt goes around the foot. Sitting on the front edge of those sit bones, straight leg, foot flex flat, padding underneath the knee. You know you got a lot of weight coming over that leg. You want that knee to be very happy. Also, if this knee is talking to you, don't be shy about putting something underneath it. Okay, belt going around the bottom of the foot. Nice long tail there for you to grab hold of. And shrug your shoulders up, back, and down. I'm going to take this left shoulder, hitchhike it onto your back. Palm is up. Grabbing hold of the belt. Palm is up. Now you can pull that elbow, help you get that shoulder underneath, twisting a little bit more. Swing that elbow forward. Pull the elbow back towards your body, forward towards the mat, back towards your body. Try getting as much shoulder blade on the inside of that thigh as you dare. It's not about reaching the foot anymore. It's about getting shoulder blade on the inside of the thigh. Top arm comes alongside your ear. Again, it's not about touching the floor. It's about getting shoulder blade on the inside of the thigh, maybe elbow on the inside of the thigh. And then with shoulder blade, elbow on the inside of the thigh, you can push elbow, shoulder blade against the thigh and turn your chest open. Roll your chest open towards the ceiling even more. One more thing, staying here, take this top arm, wipe a table out in front of you, smack that table, shrug the top shoulder onto your back, use that bottom elbow, bottom shoulder to turn your chest even more as you pull that top shoulder further onto your back. Head hangs, continue to wipe the table off the side of your hip, reaching down diagonal through your fingers. Big side stretch and a neck stretch. And you're doing your best to breathe because this can be very intense. Keep on breathing. self-soothe. And when that intensity begins to subside a little bit, maybe you can melt into this pose, go for that grand finale, maybe reach out, up and over, grab a hold of your foot with both hands. Spiritually, perhaps. And breathe. And then come on up. Oh, it's been a while since I've done those. That side hip really felt that. Okay, let's switch sides. All right, belt available to go around the bottom of that right foot. Again, do all your fidgeting, your adjusting. Sitting on the front edge of those sit bones. Sitting on blocks makes a huge difference. Right shoulder shrugs up, down onto your back. Palm is up, holding onto the belt, but somewhere near the foot, and then pulling back on the belt to get that shoulder underneath. Get twist to happen in the torso. Maybe getting the back of your arm, getting the back of your shoulder up against the inner thigh. Foot flex flat. Top arm coming alongside your ear for a great big side stretch. I'm really pulling back hard on that belt. Take the top hand, wipe a table, shrug the top shoulder onto your back, and as you pull that top shoulder onto your back, orc that belt. Get the bottom shoulder on the inner thigh even more. Top hand wipes off the side of your hip. Head hangs heavy for that neck stretch. And you're here for a few breaths, waiting for the intensity to begin to subside a bit so that perhaps you can start to melt into the full expression of this pose. Taking that top arm alongside your ear, maybe reaching down there to grab a hold of the foot with both hands. And then slowly come all the way on up. All right, legs go wide. We stretch the right side, the left side, kind of put it all together. And now we're just going to melt forward. Karmasana. Prep. Legs nice and wide. But even though the legs are wide, you're still engaging, dragging your heels towards one another and shortening your legs, pulling your legs into your pelvis. The more you shorten your legs, pull them into your pelvis, the more you're able to tip your hips so that pubic bone dips down towards the floor. Your tailbone sticks out behind you. Squeezing your legs closed so that you don't overstretch your inner thighs. Melting forward. And then using your hands on the ground, press yourself on up. Oh, and help those legs together. Take them out in front, give them a good shake. And then you're going to set yourself up to lie down. Find your finishing pose. whatever that may be for you. So if you're looking for a little bit more chest expansion, because we've done a lot to stretch the back side of the body, you have the option of taking your 2 blocks, one on that low level, one on the medium level. The low level will go underneath the shoulder blades and the medium level base of your skull. So I set those blocks up first, and then I lie back down over them. Try getting that bottom block. Hit you right at the bra band, underneath the shoulder blades. Medium height block, base of the skull. And the knees can be bent, toes turned in, knees leaning together, feet about as wide apart as the mat. Or if it works for you to stretch your legs out, you can go there as well. Take a moment to fidget, spread out your backside. If when you come into this pose, you feel it in the front of the shoulders, I recommend bending elbows, putting hands on ribs. If the shoulders are still talking to you, you can elevate, support your elbows on blocks or pillows. Take even more strain off the front of the shoulders. If you got happy shoulders, you can do any kind of snow angel you want with your arms. The difference between nice chest expansion and something that's not very comfortable is usually half an inch one way or the other. So if you're not really comfortable here, if your chest isn't pointing up towards the sky, think about scooching that block half an inch lower or half an inch higher, finding support underneath your chest. So your chest is oriented straight up towards the ceiling. It's expanding open and you're able to breathe comfortably.